Hi, I'm Rick Wilson with My Family Pattern, where I present research tips and strategies using a case study approach. As genealogists, we understand the importance of maps in our research. Our ancestors are often very much linked with geography. Yet finding maps, let alone creating them, can be overwhelming and challenging. Oftentimes, we either don't have the confidence to create a map, or the software programs we find to help us are expensive and difficult to use. So I'm going to share with you an easy way to create your own maps using PowerPoint. In my opinion, it is the easiest program to use and perhaps one of the most accessible programs as well. It is often found on our home and office computers, as well as in libraries and family history centers. So let's get started. Today, to kind of give you a roadmap of what we're going to be discussing today, we're going to first start talking about why do we need to create our own maps, especially because so many exist elsewhere online and in published books. We'll talk about the important map elements to include in a map that you create, and what PowerPoint tools that are very helpful in creating your own map. And then I'm going to walk you through an actual map that I'll create using PowerPoint and walk you through the various steps in doing so. So in the first part we want to talk about is, why do we need to customize a map? From a genealogical perspective, maps really complement our research. They help us correlate evidence and provide context to the research and evidence we're presenting. So one of the things that I want you to think about when considering to do a map, to create one yourself, is there are plenty of maps that are out there, but almost all of the maps that we're going to find it doesn't have all of the information that we need, and in many cases it has too much information, which makes it very cluttered and difficult to kind of convey your points. It's also easier to highlight and provide emphasis to those elements on that map that you want to accentuate to your readers. So creating your map will really kind of help you do that as well. Probably one of the items that you're thinking about is, aren't there copyright issues with maps, whether we use them as they exist today, or whether we create them using other maps as a guide? Copyright restrictions is very complicated, and I'm not going to get into the weeds too much on every aspect about it. But generally speaking, works that are published prior to 1928 are generally in what we consider the public domain, which they're available for us to use in whatever kind of research that we're looking to do. There are some nuances to this which makes it a little bit problematic and actually probably pushes us in the direction of wanting to create our own, so we don't have to worry about some of those copyright issues. Generally speaking, the U.S. Copyright Office, which is part of the Library of Congress, doesn't tend to provide copyright registrations for most maps because they provide utilitarian value. They're simple maps of existing political outlines and boundaries. Where they will provide some level of copyright protection is if the author or authors provide an additional level of detail that goes above and beyond the traditional boundaries established by governments and other geographic features. So oftentimes those types of maps that add that extra value are not the ones that we're going to use, but sometimes they do provide helpful information. So again, understanding which ones are copyrighted and which ones are not, again, can be very problematic. I encourage you to go to copyright.gov to kind of read further about it. You see the footnote down below on this slide. But really, to avoid that, you're probably better off creating your own map. Not only for the reasons we talked about, which allow you to customize it to how you want to present that data, but then you don't have to worry about those copyright restrictions. The next thing we really want to talk about is what elements should we include on the maps we create? I'm not going to go through all of it, but there are certain elements that are really helpful for your readers to understand what you're talking about and what you're trying to emphasize with respect to the genealogical evidence. Items that you want to consider when developing your own map is use color. Color not only provides visual interest, but it helps the map pop out from what is typically a white background, either on a web page or in a document. It easily allows you to emphasize key information that you want the readers to take note of. Use fonts strategically. There are no hard and fast rules, but what I tend to do is think about the levels of information that you're trying to convey, and there are geographic levels often included in maps, and maybe the ones easiest to think about is what I have written down here. At the country level or state level, sometimes the county level, again, depending on what level of data you're presenting. I usually keep those in all caps. And then for the regions or territories below that level, like at a state level, I might do counties in what do we call small caps, where the first letter is a proper capital and the other letters are in small capital letters. If you were doing a county as your overall, I would maybe do that identifier in all caps, and then maybe the townships in small caps. And then anything below that, like a city, a town, or anything else that might be of interest that you want to point out in your map, do typical title case. And that helps the reader quickly identify, what regions or what that reference to a name or geographic boundary is referring to. You also want to think about adding a scale to your map. Most maps that you're going to find online that you're going to use as a reference will provide a scale. Use that. That makes it easy. That can be written in text form, like the examples I have here on the screen, or it can be written in graphic form. Sometimes you will not have any point of reference to kind of help the reader identify what scale the map is in. You can just identify it as not to scale. What I tend to do is try to go on Google Maps, find two features that I'm including in the map or in my reference map that I'm using to create my map, and take a distance in Google Maps to kind of get a feel for what are those two endpoints, how far of a distance is that, and then can I correlate then to add that to the map I'm creating to provide that scale. You also want to consider doing what is called an inset map. More often than not, this has a small inset. If you look on the map that's here on this slide, in the lower left-hand corner, I have the state of Pennsylvania and actually the county of interest, which is Chester County, in red. And that lets the reader know when they're looking at this map of New London Township, where does that fit within the state of Pennsylvania? So it includes, in this example, a larger geographical area in that inset to help the reader situate what they're looking at. Sometimes you might want to do the opposite. You have a larger map and there's something that you want to provide in greater detail, but you want to do that in inset map. For example, if in this map again, if I wanted to provide a little bit more detail on Carswell Gardner's farm, that wouldn't necessarily be easily to read in this larger map. I might do a smaller inset map to emphasize, whatever it is that I'm trying to point out. You might also consider other types of information you want to embed into the map. Most often that's a legend. And that legend or a key identifies what are those key elements that you're using in the map to help the reader decode it. In this particular map, I was outlining where particular Wilson families were residing during a 1766 religious census of Northern Ireland. And in the example, in the green areas of this map, there is a town called Derryhila. And I have a circle with a W5 to indicate that there were 5 Wilson households in that particular town. I also provide some informational layers to this map. Maps are often two-dimensional, but I wanted to add a little bit more depth and meaning to this map. And I, of course, speak to it in my document, but the map also helps the reader kind of take away an additional piece of information. The town of Derryhila is one of my focal towns, as is Cavankara in the solid gray. But what I wanted to emphasize that in terms of distance away from that central town of Derryhila or Cavankara, there were towns, or really these, in this particular instance, these are really rural areas that were subdivided, and there are some that ring or encircle Derryhila and Cavankara, and I wanted to provide visual emphasis to where those are, and then to go beyond that into a tier 2, which is to say which of these townlands are even further beyond that center town of Derryhila and Cavankara. And that's another great way to provide an additional layer of data that not only makes the map visually interesting, but helps the reader kind of understand and contextualize the information being presented. The next thing I want to quickly do is highlight some of the PowerPoint tools that we're going to use to create our own maps. And I'm not going to go into too much detail here other than to kind of highlight some of these so that when we go through using PowerPoint, you at least have some reference to the ones that I'm going to use. The predominant menu we'll find most of our tools is the Insert menu. And I use a Mac computer, and so some of these interfaces or menus and additional shortcut keys might be slightly different in a PC version of PowerPoint. But it'll give you an idea. You'll want some of the things that we're going to use is to insert different pictures into our file, different shapes, and I've also highlighted some of those key shapes that I use a lot, which are like rectangles and circles, arrows, and there's one in that box that's a line, and it's the one in the far right. It's called a freeform line, and it basically creates a freeform object that then fills in with color once you complete the outline of whatever you're tracing, and that's going to be very helpful. Then there's also going to be a text box that we'll use. Something that's going to be helpful for you, and I've included on this page, although it's not really part of the insert menu, is snipping tools. This is going to be very helpful for us to gather the information that we're going to need in order to create our map. And in a Mac, I feel like they have really good software that's already built in, shift command keys that can allow you to take a screenshot or allow you to present basically what looks like little scissors or crosshairs on a computer, and allows you to draw the outline of whatever it is you want to snip or cut to your desktop. PCs have something similar. They have a screenshot. There's a key on most keyboards for that. There's also several snipping tools that either come standard in different programs or in PCs, depending on which ones you have. And so those are something to look into on your own about helping you to efficiently create your maps. Other menus that we'll use is called the shape format and picture format menus. And these really only appear once you clicked on a respective object in order to edit it. So if you click on a square or a rectangle that you create, the shape menu will show up, and it'll allow you to further customize it, change its color, and even send it to the front of your document or the back of the document. In other words, think of a layer that's either being hidden by other objects or actually hiding other objects that are in a layer below it. And this will become more obvious when we go through an example. And picture menu allows you for when you insert a picture that you capture from the internet or maybe a photograph, it allows you to crop it and otherwise format it. So what I want to take you to next is we're going to actually create a map. And The map we're going to create is one of Bucks County, Pennsylvania, and it's where I do a lot of my research, and I'm going to create a map of where my McMaster's ancestors, which townships they lived in. And that's going to be the example that we're going to use. Okay, so we're ready to start to build our map in PowerPoint. And if you recall, I am looking to build a map of Bucks County, Pennsylvania, which you see here. And I want to demonstrate in my map the 4 townships where my McMaster's family lived, which was Solebury and Upper Makefield on the Delaware River bordering New Jersey, and Warwick Township and Northampton Township, which is more central Bucks County. And so that's what I want to focus in on. And I've pulled some other reference maps for me that I found online and that are going to help me know the various county names and other features that I will need in order to build my map. I've also have a reference map of the United States that I'm going to use to help with build my inset map a little bit later. But I'm going to start out with this. And I have Pennsylvania, and again, I want to focus in on Bucks County and in my map. And so I've kind of pulled out, making it larger so that I can kind of work with it a little bit better. And I'm also have this New Jersey map, and I'm going to try to fit it approximately there so that I can draw it. And what I'm basically going to do is just trace the different areas that I want to include in my map. And so this is really kind of all that I need. And the reason I have to reshape these is because these 2 maps didn't really come adjacent like what I wanted, but I just need like a rough outline for it. And it's just got to approximately fit so I can draw it appropriately. And it looks pretty good right there. And so what I'm going to do first off is I'm going to insert a box that represents the map size that I want to use in my document. And notice how PowerPoint automatically fills it in. I'm going to come up here and select no fill. And I'm just going to change the border outline. I think it's already black, but I'm going to just do that. And I'm going to give it a different weight, meaning the thickness of the lines. I'm going to do it about a 2 1/4, just so I can see it a little bit better. And again, I really just want to concentrate on Bucks County. And so that's what I'm going to kind of focus in on right there. And what I'm going to do is, so I have a better working space. I'm going to crop these down. So I'm on this. I can click picture format and I can crop. And I just want to make this a little bit smaller so that I can manage this a little bit better in the space that I have. And I'm going to crop this. And just a little bit here. And so now I have something that's easier to work with. I'm also going to, now that I have them kind of down to size, I'm actually going to increase the size so that I have a larger canvas by which to work from. And I can easily just drop that back into place. And then I have this box that I'm going to resize. And again, I care mostly about Bucks County, but I'm including some of the space around it just again to help it provide context. And then I want to think about when I do the product or the map inset, I might need something at the top. So that's what I have. Okay, so this block box represents what I want my map to look like. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to trace the majority of these lines to help build my map. And what I'm going to start off with is I'm going to go up under the shapes, and I'm going to pick this freeform shape. And as I pick it, I get a crosshair, and I'm just going to start it. I'm going to drag to one point. Actually, I'm going to do something else here. Get rid of that and start again. I'm going to pick the freeform, start in one corner. I'm going to click it, and then you can see how I have a solid straight line. I'm going to kind of follow the outline, and then each time that I want to start a new angle on the line, I'm going to hit the mouse, and see that allows me to do that there. I'm going to click here. Here I have a nice straight line, so you can see that. I'm going to click to there. And the idea is to get a rough outline of the county. It doesn't need to be exact. It just needs to be enough that, you know, it resembles the map. And so each one of these places I'm stopping, I'm clicking so that I can create an outline. And when I'm done, when I'm at the very end of it, right there, see how I'm at the point where I started it, and I click one more time, it's going to fill it in. And that's kind of what I want at this point. So now what I'm going to do is, that's what I really want. I want that to be filled in. All of these other areas, they don't need to necessarily be filled in. But one thing that I am going to do, I do want to make Pennsylvania one color and New Jersey another color, just to kind of add some visual interest. So I am going to, again, take the freeform, and I'm going to start at the bottom here of Bucks County, and I'm going to click, follow the lines for New Jersey, and I'm going to take it here to the corner of it and go up to the top, because that's part of New Jersey. Click over here. Here's, you can see where my maps don't quite match up well enough, but I'm going to use the Pennsylvania one more as the outline here. If you ever lose where you're at, just move away from it until you find it again. Now you see I'm coming up to the corner of Bucks County. I'm going to try to follow the Bucks County outline, which is going to be slightly on the inside, or I should say the outside of the map here. And I can correct these a little bit later. And I'll show you how to correct that, these endpoints, so that they match up a little bit better. Okay, and I'm following it. There. And so you see New Jersey is colored in. Now I can color that something else, and I will. For right now, I'll just fill that in with, I'll make that yellow. Sorry, not the line. Line I'll just keep. Actually, I'll make that color. And the fill, I'm going to make it a lighter color. Okay, now I want to do the same thing for Pennsylvania, but one thing that I'm going to do here is I'm going to do the same thing. Okay, I'm going to try to follow. I'm going to start here, and I'm going to follow and be kind of on the outside of the New Jersey map. And I'm going to follow that. And once I get to the square, I'm going to follow the square, which makes that part really easy. I'm going to come down here, and I'm going to follow up here. And now I also have to go into the Bucks County, that's obviously part of Pennsylvania. So I'm going to do that. You can see that it didn't quite click there, so I'm going to go back, click, and I'm just following the outline. And again, if I'm off anywhere, I can correct that later. And as we go here, there, I've finished, and that I'm going to make, let's say I'm going to make that orange. I'm going to do the fill, this lighter color. Oops, I selected the wrong one. So I'm just going to do undo. Pennsylvania. I'm going to make the fill a lighter color of orange. The outline, I'll do a dark orange. And right now I have that done, and that's going to work out great. But now what I'm going to do is just move it away for the time being, because what I want to do now is all of these county lines, I'm going to draw those in kind of quickly here. And so I'm going to go to shapes, and I'm just going to use the same freeform feature, and I'm going to start up here at the top. I'm going to try to get as close as I can to that square line, and I'm just going to start to draw these lines, and I'm actually going to stop it there, and if I just double click there, it creates that line. Now I'm going to go back here, and I have to do this for all of them. I'm going to start here for this one. I'm going to go here, there. And again, it doesn't have to be exact. You are just providing basic outlines of the county. And so I'm going to start here, do this one. Come right to the edge. Do a double click that creates that. And again, let me do the other ones. There's this one here, and that one is just a nice easy straight line. Come back here, grab it again. This one is also just a nice straight line to there, and I'm going to try to match it up as best as I can. And let me do this one. Take that back down to there. Now some of this I'm going to show you how, like, if it's not exact, how we're going to kind of correct for it. And this will go right up to there. And then I think I have one more in Pennsylvania, this one going here. And I think that's it for Pennsylvania. And to be sure, I can actually click on this reference map, and if I delete it, I have it there. And everything looks good. So I'm going to do that, and I'll be able to fix some of these ways that it's connecting here in a second, and I'll show you that. Now let's do New Jersey. So again, I'm going to do freeform, and we have, again, going right at the edge of Bucks County. And here I'm going to draw that in. And again, I'm just doing the best I can to follow it. It's, again, not exact. And then I'm going to come up here and right at the edge, double click to stop it. And I'll do this line. Do this. Here's this county here in red, and what is in red is Hunterdon, which my ancestors also lived in Hunterdon County, New Jersey, but I don't know, I can't prove it necessarily, so I'm not going to fill this in like I did for Bucks County. I'm just going to but still have it here as a reference in the future. Maybe I do something with it. Okay, and we'll do this county line. And start here. Okay, and almost done here. And we'll do this one here. And we've just got 2 more to do. I'll do this one down here because I can see it better. I'm just going to make it a nice, easy line up to here. And one last one. This one right here. Okay, and let's delete New Jersey and see how I did. I think I might have missed something up here. Actually, I didn't because that's the outline. So if I move this back into place and size that up, okay, I have that there. Now I'm going to click on it. I'm doing a right click. I could also use this arrange button and I could just send it to the back so that anything that in terms of a layer, it is further behind and all of these lines are above it. So that's good. And let's do the same thing for Pennsylvania. Now you see how that covered up Bucks County. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to send it to the back and then Bucks County comes to the top. Now that we have this down there, everything's starting to look good. I'm going to increase the magnitude so I can actually kind of see some of the differences here that I can see in the lines up. You can see how that there, we're going to correct that. So I'm going to click on New Jersey and click on Shape Formats. You see this box up here? That allows me to edit the endpoints. So if I click that, you see how all these points come up? And I can drag these up so that so I'm going to move that one closer and this one closer. Now I'm going to click away. And you see how that lines up pretty well? I'm going to fix that, to make it look a little bit prettier here in a second. I'm going to click on it again because I noticed that, see how this line, I want that one to go up a little bit more. There. Now I want to, there's actually this one down here. It looks like it could go in a little bit more. And see how it creates this, I could also move that a little bit. And if it's not moving where you want it to go, just grab it and really push it somewhere. Okay, so that looks good. Right now, see how this line right here doesn't quite connect to the other line? I'm going to edit its endpoint. I'm going to grab that and I'm going to move that to what I hope is better connection. That looks good. Any other areas where I need to do this? Everything else looks pretty good. Here's what I'm going to do. This one also has something here. So I'm going to edit endpoints and I'm going to move that there. Okay, I think it looks pretty good. Now, what I want to do to make it look even better, I'm going to click on Pennsylvania and I'm going to go to its outline and I'm going to increase its weight. And I'm going to increase that to 3 points. And I'm going to do the same thing for New Jersey. I'm going to increase the weight to 3 points. And then I don't know which one I want to. I might bring this one forward a little bit. No, I don't like that. do, if you notice there, I just decreased the size a little bit just so that I can get a little bit more of that border to show up. Looks pretty good. Now for Bucks County, I am going to make this my focal one, and here I'm using this orange color. So what I might do is just play around with some of the colors here. And see how I made that? It's still in the same family as these oranges. I made it a little bit lighter since I'm going to be putting a lot of my energy there. And now one of the things that I'm missing here is what are the townships? And so I'm going to take this, I'm going to copy this, and I'm going to bring this down here. And I want to probably should have done this before I've done some of the outlines here that I did, but makes it harder to see this way. I probably should have before. Actually, I know what I can do. I'm going to remake this. I'm going to remove the color from this. I'm going to do no fill, and I'm going to move Pennsylvania out and put this here, and I'm going to send that to the back. And now you can see how it kind of better aligns with the shape that I have here. Now what I want to do is now I need to draw in the townships that my ancestor lived in. And one was Soulbury. And so I'm going to do my best to kind of do it on the inside here. There's Soulbury. And I will do another one for Upper Makefield. So again, I'm just going on the inside of the New Jersey border, and then I'm just going to do this. There's Upper Makefield. Now let's do Warwick. Warwick is really, I'm going to find the longest straight line, and that's where I'm going to start because it's kind of easier to see. And then it's not necessary that I have it exact, because that would be really hard to do. I might show some movement here in terms of its border outline. And I'm going to do that there. There, and you can see that is a good representation of Warwick. And let me do the last township, which is Northampton. This one's kind of large. It has some cities in between it, and I'm gonna definitely have to probably play around with the way this appears, but I'm going to do the best that I can. And I made a mistake, so I got to start again. There we go. Okay, so now that I have that into play, what I'm going to do is get rid of the Bucks County map. And that should be it, hopefully. We'll see. Nope. Do undo. Let's see which one that is. There we go, got rid of it. Now I'm going to move back Pennsylvania. And I'm going to send that to the back. I wanted to put the fill back in there. And I'll do that, the lighter one. Move back. Now for these, I really just want, and I don't know that I need a fill per se. So I could just do no fill, and if I select all of them at the same time, I can do no fill. But I could also do okay. We have everything that we need in here for right now. So let's start populating these with titles. And so we'll do Pennsylvania in all caps. And I'm going to put that probably down here. And Pennsylvania seems a rather large font at this point, so I'm going to reduce that here to, let's just say 14. Now I can do a Control C and Control V just to copy it. So then I can do New Jersey, and I might put that up here. Now we want to create the counties, and so I'm going to type Bucks County. Now I'm going to change the font. Format font, and I'm going to change that to small caps. And we were using 14, so for the other ones, I'm going to try 12. I'll put that here. Now that I have this, I'm going to do Control C and Control V, and I'm just going to, I can just edit this and populate the various counties. Sorry, that's not Chester, that's Montgomery. And if he goes on a second line, I can put that there. Maybe do center. And I might have to lower the font size on some of these, but we have the same style, so it's small caps, which helps the reader understand that. Now let me go ahead and populate all of the other ones and pause the video, and I'll be right back. Okay, we are back, and we are just, as you can see, I've included all of the county names that I wanted to include. But the one thing that I didn't do was I wanted to put the map inset here. And if you realize this is obviously Pennsylvania, New Jersey. So what I have here is this map. And so what I'm going to basically do is I'm going to reduce it so you can see it a little bit better. I want to take part of this that has that Pennsylvania, New Jersey there, and I'm going to use that as my inset map. So when I've clicked on it, I'm going to crop it down to where I want it to be. So I really just want to kind of focus in on Pennsylvania, New Jersey, and I might, as I'm kind of looking at this, I purposely kind of made it a little bit bigger than I really wanted it to, just because I need some of these items to show up here. Don't necessarily need it to show up Maryland per se. Actually, maybe I will because it's down below. So there, I have pretty much what I want to see. So that's what I'm going to crop it to, and I'm going to copy that, and I'm going to place that on my map here. And you can see that this is pretty big with respect to my map. So I'm going to put it right here, and I want to give it a border, and I might as well make it black, not the fill. The border, I'll make it black, and maybe the fill, I'll do white. And there we have that. And if I want to make it a little bit larger, I can. I have the inset. I could actually put it up there in the exact corner if that's what I like. I tend to like a little bit of border around it from that perspective. And I have the inset map. Now, what I also want to do is I also like to highlight on the map where this other map is. So I'm going to pick a circle, and I'm going to create a circle here that's going to be about the same size. There we go. I don't need a fill. I'm going to make the outline red, and I'm going to increase the weight of the line to maybe, let's see what that does. And then I'm going to move it right there. And this helps the reader, again, kind of know the focal area that we're concentrating on. Now, what I haven't done here is I haven't added the township names. So I'm going to put Soulberry, and I'm going to use regular font size for that. And I'm going to put it right here. Upper Makefield. And I'm not sure exactly where I want that, just because there seems to be a lot going on. So let me see what might be the best place. What I might do is move Mercer down here and move Upper Makefield right here. Okay, and then Warwick, I'll put that right there. And the last one is Northampton Township, and that seems like it's going to fit fairly well right there. Now I'm going to draw my arrows. And I can do that. I'm going to draw in a new one for Warwick. For Northampton. And lastly, for Upper Makefield. Now, I don't like the fact that my arrows are blue. So I'm going to click on each one of those while I'm holding the Shift key, and then I'm going to make it black. There we go. So we have that. Now, if I really wanted greater emphasis here, it seems like it's maybe getting a little bit lost in here. I have this. I can go under Shape Format. And I'm actually going to do different types of fills here. There is a gradient fill or a texture fill. I am going to look and see what more gradients that they have. And so I'm going to look at patterns. And what if I made all of these something like that? And if I click on this one, and I'll just see if I can get all of them. And I'll do pattern. And which one was it that I used? I think it was this one. There. Now I don't want blue actually. So I'm going to. What if I pick this color, the same as the outline? And then I also know for Bucks County, I want to make that outline here there, and maybe I give that a little bit of weight. There we go. And I wish Pennsylvania showed up a little bit more. Let's see what I can do here. That's pretty good. Yeah, I think the only thing that I want to do now is I'm going to click this big black box, and I want to make that width even greater. You see how that just really frames it in a lot better? And we have our map. And it has everything that we want. I don't really need distance if I wanted to do distance. Here I have this distance thing there. I can add that in very easily to here. Once I kind of figure that out again, I should have probably done that from the beginning. And I have my inset, and we're done. So this, once I have this completed, what I would do then is I'm going to use my snipping tool, and in a Mac I'm going to use the Shift command, and I'm going to use 4, and it gives me these crosshairs, and I'm going to drag it over the entire image, and what this does is it saves it to my desktop as an image. So then I can take that image and insert it wherever I want. If I wanted to do it online, I can upload it because it's a JPEG. I can insert it into a Word doc and easily kind of move that around there. So that is how we can use PowerPoint to create whatever map and whatever level of detail we want to include on that map to tell our genealogical story, to correlate evidence, and provide context for the reader. I hope you enjoyed this learning module using PowerPoint to create custom genealogy maps. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up on YouTube. Otherwise, be sure to check out my blog at myfamilypattern.com or send me an email at myfamilypattern@gmail.com. Thank you.